Hi, everyone. Welcome to Itsy Bitsy's live read of Second Chances Xmas by N.D. Jackson. Chapter 1. When one was a single mother, one of the first things that got lost was the ability to arrive on time, anywhere. Allie Faulkner was late now as she drove home with a box full of chocolate, spatulas, and vegan butter from the restaurant supply store in Meacham, which was a 90-minute drive from her hometown of Blissful. On a good day, which this was not, her babysitter Cindy wouldn't mind because she loved spending time with Allie's daughter, Glory, mostly because she was Glory's grandmother. But still, Allie felt like showing up late took advantage of her kindness, and she tried not to do it. A brand new Ferrari leaving its entails along Interstate 57, and then this light snow meant cars moved slower and overly cautious. Then she got behind the last biggish town, and the roads opened up, allowing her to press the pedal a little harder than she would under normal circumstances. But thanks to a little bit of luck, it had only taken 2 hours to get to the little yellow cottage she shared with her 6-year-old daughter. Cindy opened the front door the same time she cut the engine, smiling as she waited. Hey, hun, did you get everything you need? I did this time. Living in such a small town meant some specialty items were hard to find, but since her candy shop catered to all kinds of diets, she needed to make sure she had the basics for everyone. I even found sugar free sprinkles and a few different vegan milk products. Allie turned and grabbed two of the large boxes, carrying them to the small guest house behind the main cottage. How was Glory today? Wonderful as always. That girl has so much energy, I don't know where she gets it. She never met a question she didn't like. Cindy said in that tone Allie knew well. She'd known the woman since she was 10 years old, had been like a mother to her since her own passed away 4 years ago. Hell, at one time Allie thought she would become her mother. By law, anyways. But that didn't happen. Squashing those thoughts, she tucked the refrigerated items into the fridge and set the rest on the long metal table in the kitchen. It could wait until later. What did you tell her? For the past few months, Glory had become obsessed with having a father, specifically why she didn't have one. She wanted to know what he looked like, and what did he do for work, where he lived, everything. The same thing you did, but thank goodness Allie had settled on telling her daughter that her father wasn't around because he did very important work. More important than me, anyway. Thanks, Sydney. But, she said a little louder, and Allie froze. But? A bright smile spread across Cindy's face, and Skye felt all the blood drain from hers. I heard from Archer today. He's coming home. Home. Archer was coming home. Her shoulders sank, and all the breath rushed out of her lungs. Great! Not. It wasn't great. It was the worst thing that could possibly happen. The exact opposite of great, in fact. Who in the hell does he think he is, coming back after all this time? No, she would not be rattled by this. He could come home and she would live her life just as she had since he walked away. Without him, I'm sure you're happy about that. It was the most diplomatic thing she could think to say because, in a way, she was happy that Cindy would get to see her son again. Oh, honey, I am. I really am, and I'm sorry this hurts you, but he's coming back, Allie. No more danger. Sydney looked so happy, so hopeful that it crushed Allie she couldn't join in on that. She felt like a jerk, wishing he would stay away when it meant Cindy wouldn't get to see or hold her son. And now that that he's out of a war zone, it might be okay to tell him about Glory. Allie's shoulder fell and her mouth went dry. She never bothered to tell Archer that she was pregnant because she had no way to contact him once he left. Okay, and because she hadn't tried very hard. Still, she didn't need him. Not anymore. I know that I can't stop you from telling him, Cindy. But if she could, she would just make herself and Glory invisible to him until he left town again. I can't, so it doesn't really matter. If he decides he would like a relationship with her, I'll figure it out. She squirmed, feeling uncomfortable under Cindy's careful examination, like she was looking for any little hint that everything wasn't okay. It wasn't okay, and it hadn't been for a long time. It wouldn't be until Archer Black left town again. What about you? I'll be fine, she told her, arms crossed defensively. This is about Glory, not me. She knew exactly how he felt about her. Watching him walk away had made it painfully clear. She wasn't going to be going back there again. Nope, no way. It might be about you. It's not, she insisted. Cindy, I'm begging you, don't meddle. I don't have the time or the energy for another scheme of yours. The woman was a notorious matchmaker. With a hit or miss record, she insisted was perfect. I guess you should have given Derek proper consideration. Even she couldn't hide her grin at that ridiculous statement. Derek was the town accountant and local taxidermy expert, and he fit every stereotype to a T. Or you could just accept that I'm not dating right now. I have a daughter and a small business I'm trying to grow, in case you've forgotten. How could I forget when my hips expand at least 1 centimeter every month? She patted her long, lean frame that looked so much like Archer's. Cindy had long legs encased in jeans. She wore a thick green sweater that matched her eyes. No makeup, and her thick silver braid rested over her right shoulders. It was the same outfit and hairstyle she's been wearing for 2 decades, more or less. Maybe I just need to do a little matchmaking of my own. Find you someone to help you burn off those candy calories. The older woman gasped as the blush spread up her face. Allie Faulkner, watch your mouth. She began to move around the kitchen, putting water on for tea. Don't worry about me. Find a man of your own. I will, Cindy, but right now, that isn't my priority. I need to be able to take care of us on my own, which means I have to make Sweet Glory a success. It was on it was on the cusp of being a real success, and she needed to find a marketing plan guaranteed to work to increase overall and repeat customers, and one that fit her budget. Basically, she needed a magician and a fairy godmother. The right man will help you, walk by your side, and help you carry the burden. Cindy spoke with the authority of a woman who spent decades with a man who fit that description, which she had, and so she often forgot just how many toads there were in the real world. Allie tried not to laugh bitterly, but it came out anyhow. No thanks. I'll deal with my problems myself. That way I know they're getting dealt with. But I love you for wanting that for me, Cindy. Allie came up behind her and wrapped her arms around the woman's slender frame. I do love you, Cindy. You've been such a tremendous help to me and Glory. I don't know how I would have made it this far without you. Why does it sound like you're saying goodbye to me? She frowned, scanning Allie's face for any trace of a problem. Because you are a smart woman. I'm not, but you'll want to spend extra time with your son, so I won't see you as much until he goes back home. Whatever that is, because she'd never been brave enough to ask. Something flickered in Cindy's green eyes, but it was gone so fast Allie thought she she had to have imagined it. Nothing will change, she said in a tone of just shy of convincing. It will, and that's okay. It's the nature of life. It would take some getting used to not seeing her so often, but she would survive. It was what she did. But you know you can see Glory any time you want. And you? We can meet for coffee sometime, but I think you should enjoy this time with your family. It's been a few months since Mia came to see you. There were plenty of people in the Black family to visit, and Allie had never begrudged Cindy that, no matter how much it hurt. And the twins will be home for the holidays, right? She nodded, but her attention had drifted to something else, or someone else. I'll be so happy to tell Archie the truth so that everyone else can meet our little angel. She was in so love with Glory, her only grandchild living close by, and she was eager for the rest of the family to meet her. Allie wished she felt the same joy Cindy did, but all she felt was tension and the impending sense of doom. She was all alone. Aside from Glory, she had no family, which was yet another thing Archer could give her daughter, their daughter, if he wanted to be involved. That was a big if, since he wasn't all that big on commitment or involvement. After Cindy had left for the night, Allie crept into her daughter's room just to get a look at her cherubic face. Rosy cheeks looked even rosier against the inky black hair she inherited from her mother, but it was the dimple in her chin she'd gotten from her father that truly made her look like Snow White. She couldn't resist one kiss before she closed the door, picking up discarded toys and clothes as she made her way back to the living room. Her thoughts raced as they always did. A single mom's mind didn't slow down, but tonight, instead of worrying about getting orders packaged up for tomorrow's delivery or growing her business, there was just one thought on her mind. Archer was coming back to Blissful. Being back in Blissful after such a long absence felt like going back in time to another world. The long drive from the airport had given Archer Black plenty of time to think about what it meant to go back to his hometown and about the people he left behind, the girl he had left behind. Woman now. Hell, if Allie was still around, she probably hated his guts. She probably also has a husband, a few kids by now. But if any of that were true, his mom would have said something. Archer would feel better about things if she were happy, settled, and happy. He didn't want to see any evidence of it, but it would make him feel better to know she had it. No, it wouldn't. His conscience hit back. The truth was, he hoped Allie was happy, but he really didn't want to see the form that happiness took. But I'm here now. Whatever was destined to happen would. It was that brief that it was that belief that got him through military service and then 2 years wandering the globe, picking up odd jobs where his skills were needed most after he'd been discharged. But no place he'd ever been was quite like Blissful. It was home. He knew everything about it, and every detail came back to him as he drove through town. Bo's Diner had the best pancakes and the crispiest fried chicken around. Big Mac was the guy to go to fix your car for the best cost, but Big Max was the son and Little Mac was the father. He knew this he knew the Blissful Bakery had the best coffee around, and the lone bar in town, Last Call, was the only place to get a drink and twirl a pretty girl on the dance floor. Though he left long ago, he could legally drink there. It was run by the toughest woman he'd ever met, Tori Faulkner, Allie's mom. She was tiny, just 5 feet, with smooth cocoa skin and expressive violet eyes that were of an unknown origin. And she was the toughest damn woman he'd ever met, and the reason he didn't stop for a beer before going to see his mom. In no time, he turned on to the big long drive that led up to the big blue farmhouse that was colorful shutters. It had been the one big concession his mom, Cindy, had made to the need he and his siblings had to be individuals in a house full of kids. The sisters Mia's room had bright red shutters, while the twins, Finn and Stefan, had bright yellow with orange stripes because they were convinced the shutters could be seen from space. And Archer had chosen an electric shade of blue, convinced by his best friend to choose it because it totally matched his eyes. He was 12, so he'd given in to her, Allie. On second thought, maybe going back to town wasn't the best idea. There were reminders everywhere in town. Hell, he thought of Little but Allie since he sailed past the town limits. Turning back would have been a good idea, the easy way out, but it was too late. His mom came bounding out of the house, bouncing down the familiar wooden steps with the energy of a woman half her age. Thank you for listening to this portion.